This is Matt for Into Boxing. Delighted to be joined by big time himself, Fabio Wardley. Fabio, it's been a while. How's things?
I'm good, mate. I'm all good. How's things with you? All right?
Yeah, no complaints. I have no complaints whatsoever. But finally, I think since I've met you, this fight has been talked about for like 2 whole years. Since we started speaking, you and Nathan Gorman has been the fight everyone's been talking about in terms of a British title fight, good domestic dust-up. Finally, it's over the line. You must be a bit relieved because you've been having these conversations a long time.
Yeah, of course. I don't think there was ever a point where neither of us either wanted it at all. There was some logistical things that were posing problems, and having fights already booked, or Nathan had a bit of time with inactivities. We wanted a few warm-ups and things like that. So I think always both of us. I was never particularly in doubt, thinking the fight would never happen. It was just always a big question of when. I think when was the biggest question, obviously. But yeah, glad it's over the line. Glad it's all done and dusted.
Yeah, 100%. I will say as well, speaking to you both in that sort of time period, you've always had a lot of respect for each other. There's no needle there. And I think it says a lot when people are that excited about a fight just based on the fact it should be a good fight rather than, oh, there's a rivalry there. He said this, he said that. Does that sort of make it more worthwhile for you, knowing that people are just genuinely wanting to see you two in a ring and getting down to business?
Yeah, of course. That keeps it pure. It keeps it for what it is, doesn't it? It's not no one's here for the pantomime of it, of the he said, she said, your mum this and your dad that. Like,
I mean, if you want to, feel free.
That's what I mean. It's all a waste of time. Like, I don't have a problem with Nathan at all. And I assume he doesn't have a problem with me at all either. And I don't think we're the type to try and force it either. Don't get me wrong, throughout the process, there might be a little few jabs thrown at each other, a little digs and that, but that's just part of the game. But like, nothing particularly I'm going to try and really go at him and get under his skin and whatever. It's not for me. If I have a problem with you, you'll know about it. Like the Simon Vallely fight or whatever. Yeah, fine, cool, no problem. But if not, I'm not forcing nothing out of nowhere. You can see with those things when they're fake and forced, and it's always something I'm very much against as well. So I'm not about to do it either myself.
Absolutely. Yeah, with the 2 a year as well, there's always that. You never hear anyone really say a bad word about either of you, which I think it makes for a better narrative. I mean, apart from me, I will slag you off left, right, and centre.
That's what I was about to say. Aside from you, everyone else thinks I'm a top lad. You're trying to persuade everyone the other way. Going, nah, he's an absolute knobhead.
It's an absolute knobhead. But I think it's good. It's a good narrative. It makes a change because normally these fights have to be built, and you like you just mentioned there, it's authentic. I think last time we spoke, you said that the board had ordered it for your English title. Was that correct?
Yeah, that was right. They did do that. And me, Nathan, Eddie, Callie, Wasserman, we're all looking at him like, what are you on about? What's going on here? But I think they saw sense and were like, yeah, that's obviously not it's the right, like I said at the time, right fight, wrong belt. But then since Joyce relinquished his British, then they bumped it up to that.
When you look at where you are now, not that you'll be sort of looking at the past too much because you're still on a very much an upward sort of trajectory. You come a long way since the white collar days, and you're now fighting for a British title. Do you look back and just think, wow, pat myself on the back a little bit. I've not done bad here to say from where I started, because you didn't do the traditional amateur pedigree and Team GB and all these amateur fights. You did it, you've done it the hard way. You've had the test fights, and now you're in. Now you're all in. Yeah,
definitely. I haven't really taken a moment to give myself a pat on the back just yet. I think I will save that till after. Till I've got the belt in my hands, until I give myself a proper little hey, look at me, fucking hell. Till I give it one of those. But it has been a wild ride. It's been an absolute roller coaster for me, to be fair. I was just thrown in at the deep end and had to figure out how to swim pretty quickly, and I've done all right, but there's still a lot more to do.
Absolutely. Now Nathan's from that travelling background. They do this. They're bred to do this. This is like their lineage, their heritage, and things like that. What do you have to do? Now we can actually talk about the fight. We can now talk about how do you go in there and beat a guy like Nathan Gorman?
Just be me. I've got all the tools I need to beat him. That's not a problem. I just need to not get distracted, not get dissuaded from anything. Just stay on target, stay on focus. I have the athleticism, I have the speed, I have the power. I've got it in my tank to go through the rounds if you want to go. So there's none of those things are a factor or a problem for me. I just need to stay on job and stay focused.
In your heart of hearts, do you believe this fight ends by you knocking him out?
Yeah, I do. All but one of my opponents have seen the final bell, and that was only over 4 rounds. And I've got 12 rounds to get what I need to do, and they're done. So that's more than enough time for me.
100%. Now you are on a big bill. Dillian's coming back off his off his defeat to Tyson Fury in a good fight against Franklin, he's game as well. I know he's been calling Dillian out for a while. Pleased to be on the same card as Dillian, have the whole squad there, and make it a proper evening, proper event. What do you make of him and him getting back in there more or less straight away before the year's out?
Yeah, I'm always happy to be on a card with Dill. It adds an extra level of comfort to it. It feels, because I've done so many cards with him now as well.
Yeah,
that it feels more like home almost. It almost feels weird when I do cards and he's not there, kind of thing. But it's always nice to have him around, have him there. The team, obviously, we're all part of the same team, same stable, same everything. So it's good to have us all under one roof on one event, and we can share that moment together.
What do you make of that fight with Franklin? Good fight. He's not gone in there with a knockover guy with a decent record. He's, like I said, he's coming in off a knockout loss. He's been there before, I suppose, in terms of the Povetkin thing. What do you make of him doing that, and how do you see that fight going?
Yeah, no, I think it's good for him. It's good for him. He's never, he's never gone in for those kind of easy, soft fights, even coming off the back of a loss or trying to get himself back into it or whatever. He's never just taken someone to knock over. So that's not in his nature. And this is a good test. Franklin is undefeated, game, knocked out, I think, the majority, if not all of his opponents. So he's dangerous, and that's what Dill needs. He needs that level of competition in there to keep him focused, keep him on target, because sometimes we're all guilty of it when you maybe got a bit of an easy ride to take a second to slack off and not do the extra miles, which it's not always about the first fight. It's about the second fight, the third fight, the ones down the line, and he wants to be in shape, ready for a big year next year.
Mm-hmm. Do you look at someone like Dillian and almost sort of look up to him and admire him? Because not everybody goes through the professional boxing career having your 50-0, having your perfect record. Is he sort of an example of, if you do take a loss, not that will be in your mind at all, but how to handle yourself, brush yourself off. It's not the end of the world. Get me back in there. Is he sort of an example to you, as if to say, look, I've seen the way to go and how to handle yourself, kind of thing? Because you haven't experienced that yet, but he's experienced.
Yeah, definitely. He's laid the path for me to say, look, you can do it this way. This is the road. Yeah, don't get me wrong. There's going to be bumps in the road. Dill's first loss came actually fighting for the British title was against AJ. Awesome. So he's been through that test and done it himself, and I can look at him and go, okay, cool. There's always, as long as you give a good account of yourself, put yourself on the line in your game, you can always dust yourself up and go again. It doesn't, I think it's been more and more proven. That kind of era of keeping your zero till you die kind of thing it's fallen off. It kind of died when Floyd retired and let it go, and everyone kind of let that stigma go. But you see him now with, like, prime example with Derek Chisora. He's got a world title shot, and he's got about
12 or 13
13 losses on his record. Like, ultimately, if you're entertaining and you put yourself in good fights, and the people want to see you, then you're back out there again.
Are you surprised to see that fight? There was obviously talks about Joshua and Fury happening, didn't happen, but now Derek Chisora, who is 258 under 258 management, gets the fight. Surprised to see the fight?
Yeah, surprised. Yeah, partly surprised. I'm surprised because I didn't think it would be the fight that Fury would really go for. To be honest, I don't know what Fury would do nowadays. I don't think anyone does. I don't think really he knows until he wakes up that morning and decides. But it's happening. It'll be an interesting fight for a bit, but I don't think it's just a bit. There's a bit of a kind of a low tone feeling to it, just because it's not really the one that we wanted.
Do you sort of think with everything that's gone on? I mean, it looks like from the outside looking in that AJ is a package, isn't it? Like he comes with commercial rights and all this kind of stuff. And apparently, Frank Warren's team, don't misquote anyone, had appointed an arbitrator to look through all the commercial sides to make sure that they weren't, affecting any of AJ's sponsorship. You've got all this to look forward to if you keep going through these levels, aren't you, Fabio? Do you know what I mean? So it's like if that fight's then come to a halt. But what's Tyson supposed to do? Because he's going to get. Apparently, he wanted Usyk in December. Usyk said he's not ready. He's apparently going to get Usyk next year, regardless. So in the meantime, for Tyson, it makes sense, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah, it does. It does. It doesn't. I'm not saying it's a bad fight at all. I'm just saying it's not the one we wanted. It's just not the one we were looking for. We asked for. He's teased so many fights for so long now. It's like, you can do one of them, mate. Like, have a word. Like, just pick one, and then it's like, you know what? Actually, I'm going to fight Derek Chisora, and we're like, hang on, no one's even said that name for like a year. What's going on? So
yeah, I
think that's more so where the just slight lack of interest comes from, is that it's just not the one that the people were really crying out for. But that's not to take anything away from Derek at all, because whenever he fights, he's always in a good fight. He always makes it entertaining. Hence why he gets this shot.
Yeah, I was going to say, regardless, he will go out on his shield. Like, he comes for war, and he genuinely believes in his mind he'll cause an upset and beat Tyson. So fair enough. Look, we've got to move on to I suppose a more serious topic. I know we normally have quite a light-hearted muck about and stuff like that. It is professional, but it is light-hearted. So I want to ask you, not specifically about anyone in particular, but we've seen over the past few weeks a lot of comments about failed tests, let's just say, and stuff like that. We have VADA, we have UCAD. Isn't it about time now in boxing, from your point of view as well, being in there, that we go off one set of rules, one list, so that we can all just go, well, a failure is a failure no matter what? Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yeah, definitely. I think I think the problem with it starts at the top of there needs to be a clear set guideline. We've seen it 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times now where you're okay on this side, but you're not okay on that side. Okay, but what does that side mean? Oh, well, we don't know what that means, or we can't tell you what that means. Yeah. Or there needs to be a clear set of like guidelines of this. If this happens, this happens. If this happens, this happens. It's not different over there. It's not different if you get tested by these people, but you don't get tested by these people. Like, I think it just needs to be clear and concise. And then I think as well, there needs to be a level of openness with it, because there's always that public demand of, okay, so what's the answers here? What's gone on? Like, what's happened? I know that there has to be a level of privacy with these things, but with boxing and us, like, as boxers and stuff, we rely on the fans and the fan base and everyone else to like pump up our fights and big up our names and stuff. But then when it comes to something else, maybe we don't want shouted about. We try and make sure it's quiet and hush hush. Whereas I think the public deserves to know them things, and not just the public, other fighters, other boxers, other managers, other promoters. Yeah. There needs to be a clear, like, it's stupid, but silly things like even if you're in football or something, if you get a yellow card, that's clear for everyone to see. You know why you got the yellow card. Yeah. You know what's going on. That's everyone can now. They've got that information to work with to make their own informed judgment. I think that's the biggest problem with it is that everyone's throwing around so many opinions, so many views of things where they have minimal information, and then that leads to bigger speculation, bigger accusations, and then it stirs the pot more and more and more, where actually, if things were just laid out, people could make an informed decision and go, right, that's that settled.
I think the way people have the confusion is, obviously, with the two lists, your VADA and your UCAD, VADA's normally brought in for when you get, I hope I'm not wrong in saying this, like when you get to like world title level, because it costs a lot of money by all accounts to employ, and normally it's at the request of promoters or fighters or whoever. So if you're paying for that service and they come back saying, regardless of what UCAD's saying, this is this, and surely that should be it. Like, there should be no in between. And I'm always a bit unsure. And from your guys' point of view, I mean, how would you react if you got told 2 weeks before or 3 weeks before your guy has failed a test would you be like, the fighter in you probably want to fight on, wouldn't it?
Well, yeah, but I'd want to know, because I'd want to know the information. I want to know. I'd want to. This is what I mean. It goes back to details of, okay, he's failed how many tests? What's he failed for? Okay, when was it? When was it dated? Like what?
Yeah.
Okay, now speaking medically, what effect would that have on his body, on his performance? What does that do? Because all of these are questions I need to make an informed decision of whether I want to put my life on the line or not. Like boxing is a dangerous sport as it is, where they're throwing into other things into the mix. So yeah, I need to know what's happening first before I just go, oh yeah, cool. Because don't get me wrong, the fighter in me will go, yeah, whatever, I don't give a fuck. Like I'll do whatever.
Yeah.
But also I at least know, like, there's been many a times where my team around me has had to go, no, come on, let's be smart about this. Where I'm just like, fuck it, I don't give a fuck, I'll do whatever. Just sign that person up, do whatever. I'll fight him, I don't care, whatever. But there's loads of times where they call me and I just go, yeah, whatever, I don't care, just like whatever. And then they go like, actually, hang on, like have a think, have a look, do this, do that, and I'm like, oh, okay, whatever, like, I'll do it. So you need to be looked after by your own team as well, but you can't do that without information.
Yeah,
and I think that's the biggest two cruxes of this are. They fall on one, it being clear and concise ruling, and two, the information being clear and available for everyone to see.
100%. Yeah, I'm completely with you on that. Well, look, Fabio, it's good to speak to you again. It's been a while. Huge fight. Looking forward. We'll be there. It's a cracking fight. We look forward to seeing how it unfolds. So wish you all the best for that evening, and we'll catch up fight week.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much.
Anytime.